Yeah, man. Welcome here. Welcome back. It's that guy who lives gets. Back with the New York Giants fandom for the fandom with the fandom. Yeah, you know the deal with that. Well, I mean that's week one right there of the season. Just got done playing the Washington Commanders here, and go game went as the game went, and came away with the first loss of the season. Hopefully, for what the people were in the building and stuff like that. When it comes to that next week's game here against the Dallas Cowboys, they can work it that bounce back from this game, whatever. But be prepared to play the next game against Dallas here, and hopefully have a better showing overall. Even though I think when it came down to this game right now, it was kind of more on the offense, right? For at least in my opinion, how the game really came down to who's going to come away with a W at the end of it. Um, yeah, I mean Russ wasn't great today. When we talk about the offense, bro, Russ wasn't that great today. I mean Russ is Russ. He's 30 plus, 35 plus years old. He's not really future of the team, and he's here right now to help. Try to guide in what is sitting behind him, even at second string right now with Jackson Dart things. If you want to compare it to you can't compare it to Eli, in my opinion, of course, so we're not gonna do that. But like Kurt Warner maybe situation, and I even say, and when I say that, it's so much about Eli here, but because Jack and Dart went to Ole Miss as well, long like Manning did. But a situation like that where he's going to be a veteran present for a little bit, and maybe with the way the league works, the way the game works, the NFL works today, with talents coming in and not necessarily sitting for too long before they play. Um, there are some concerns some might have about that when it comes down to offensive line play and things like that. Of course, we understand, but like, just speaking quickly about it, we've been talking about the offensive line for a long time. We've been talking about the personnel that we've been bringing in for a long time, and we've been talking about, that's draft and free agency, and then we've been talking about how it plays on the field for a long time. So I don't necessarily feel like that's something I have to go through in this particular video. Even in my preseason thing, if you haven't seen that, I did kind of in my predicted guesstimation is what I called it. But I did kind of just look at the team and where we were and where the Commanders are. With the team, they're a second year team. I got everything about that. Even though they just put their stuff together, we kind of just put our stuff together, and we didn't even start. The stuff as far as the offense what we put together. So that's including just what we're getting out of the play from the skill position too, because there's still, wasn't pretty much production there, of course, because the QB wasn't necessarily all out there. He did have 200 total yards, close to that because he had rushing, but the rushing is like maybe it wasn't bad. It was like 5 yards to carry, something like that, maybe. Um, but yeah, so it was decent rushing when he was rushing. So he had like, oh man, I can't remember, but it was 200 yards in total. So whatever his passing yards was, fill the rest of that in with the rushing to make it close to about 200, just over. Um, that's the offense, right? And then that's just from the QB position. Then I kind of with the run game right now, it wasn't good. None of the RB room was really spectacular today, but even opportunities where I don't know, I would say they really played out for him either. Because when you get in that situation where you do kind of have this, I guess we'll call it running back by committee more officially now, even now, because last year was kind of like a dual back kind of thing. It was just Singletary, and then we had brought Tracy in. But now with Tracy, Singletary, and Scatterboo, it's more like a RBC thing, RBBC thing. Yeah. So we have to see how that plays out. So it's going to take a while for that kind of to fill out in the run game, at least, going forward. I think we saw some okay stuff from like Scatterboo when he got outside. He had some nice broken tackles and stuff like that, showing off some of that power he has. Didn't really get an open field to show like run speed or anything like that. He's not the fastest, but and, just see if he can get some yards, 15, 20 yards at a time, chunk like that is what you're kind of looking for. But yeah, but QB play is what it is. The line, I say it is what it is because it's not our promising forward thing. But with the O line, man, it's not too much different from when we're discussing with quarterback here. in previous years, man. Like when, yeah, the talent might be what the talent is. We kind of understand that, and then we try to help the talent out and whatever else by getting the stuff. And then this talent still playing with it. That it's still something that you have to consider when you're trying to, I guess, kind of get the team better on the right start, is what I'll say. But that's part of the process. And like this game, like I said, man, I kind of felt just how the teams are kind of laid out right now, man. It was probably gonna lean in Washington's favor. And throughout the game, even saying with the offense being as not production as it was today, it was still kind of close. Going into like halftime, it might have been like 6-14 at that time, or maybe a little bit more at that time. It was still within that kind of striking distance, and we've played like that before, even last year with previous quarterbacks out there, um, include Tyron and stuff like that, where the team would get within that 10-point margin of tying it up. It's that swing, it's like kind of like the NBA game. We have that where a team is down by 5 points, and there's that 7-point swing. Team can get the basket, that's down five, how they improve the chances of winning, or if the other team, it's like that, one of those swinging points, and it's kind of been like that on the field for us in the football sense. We've been in that 10-point range, either like a field goal or a touchdown to really at least take you into the half, feeling like you're in the game and everything like that, instead of feeling more like you got to get back into the game coming out of the half. And we didn't get the ball to start out too, so with the time possession, things like that, you just hope we can make a little bit more of that up in the second half, even in that situation. Especially without your offense necessarily being something that's oiled up and ready to go. This is still the first season for this, whatever it is. Yeah. The defense, as far as the defense, I think we at least saw some things out of our defense, right? Like Kayvon was up there making a play or something like that. I'm pretty sure he got a sack. I don't know if it was solo assist or assisted, whatever. But Carter, he came down with a half sack, and we making some disruptive play and special teams. And just general pressure, I thought was there, for our defense, our front seven. Dex, I don't know what they're doing with rotation, that they're going to settle into a rotation when you're actually playing. Practicing is one thing, right? And then preseason is another thing. And um, one-on-one private sessions against other teams is another thing, but in a season, a 17 game season, 18-week season, a team has time to come in as one thing and can be playing a little different throughout a season, good or bad or mid. It could be mid all the way, but in that mid, there's still going to be things that teams are trying to do. It might only be one to do the things we're going to try to do different things. You feel me? So that's what we're expecting to see now, and this goes into a little bit as we go through the season here and seeing these games, whatever the wins and losses are, they pile up. Um, that's the assessment we're going to be taking into the year. I think that's fair. I have no real problem with that as long as we don't get too tied up into what was here and all that other stuff. Yeah, that stuff was here. You might have been attached to it in certain ways. Maybe all them ways couldn't necessarily be attributed to the play on the field as far as the reduction that we saw. And that's cool and understandable because there's takes teams 53 players, man. That's how we're doing. And it's 11 on the offense and it's 11 on the defense and all the depth guys behind that make it what it is. So, um, so it's understandable in ways, but like, as far as now and getting off of that and really being able to assess what's going on. Because even when that was going on, when these things came in, as far as like day ball and showing, that we were, the emphasis was more that they're going to see what things are, and then whatever things are, they're going to move on from there. And it wasn't the best, so they got their own guys. Okay, so we're getting their own guys now, and that's what we're going to see when they've gotten their own guys, and especially when they've gotten their own guys and somebody like Jackson Dart right now, especially, right? That's the main emphasis. So when we see him, when we won't see him, will be something we go through the year. If you bring him out with the line, like this is the thing, right? Even with our previous quarterbacks, there were times where somebody would be playing that would be in for injury or short 2 games, maybe, or 3 games, maybe, and the line would start to come together. And even when the primary player would come back in, the starter of those times, things didn't necessarily play as well as they were starting to trend up as they were before. So it's not a as a full indictment on particular player coming in, like Jones, quarterback, whatever. But what I'm saying is that, you know, we can't always try to attribute just like we can't say, oh, just because he came in, the line plays worse, or of course the line plays worse as soon as he comes in. Like, no, and that speaks somewhat past the talent in many ways there, and what was getting in the way, in my opinion, of some of the stuff we were trying to do when it came down to talking about the stuff going on with the coaching and the front office and the talent we're taking in. So we know how many offensive linemen we drafted, you know, we know how many defensive backs we've drafted. Like, we understand that the talent that is coming here and gone and maybe done better, maybe not done better. Not every talent that's left here is like done better, but like many of them have. So to see somebody like, Daniel playing, having a pretty decent game for himself, however it played out against their competition, of course, we're taking that into consideration. But, for what it was, and he had a promising game or a good game, that's great for him. But that doesn't solve anything here because that was part of the problem. Letting things like that, because we understand how he plays. We watched 6 seasons of him. We've done a lot of things to try to help that. So if we're doing those things and it's still not working out, eventually you have to start ask, and then we're doing that. Then like, of course, after that, it's like, yo, what's going on here? Period. Right. So it's all part of the thing, man. Next week we got the Dallas Cowboys. I got that one down as a win. So, and Dallas, they lost. They looked better than our offense looked, at least to say that, right? So that's something that the defense is going to have to get together. As far as the secondary, even though we know the secondary was still a question when it was coming in, but more that is really what the offense production is going to do because we were, like I was saying, with this Commanders game, we lost. We ended up losing by more because they scored like they ended up scoring 23. Close to that at the end of it all. And we only scored 6, so we didn't score a touchdown. So, um, those are the things, man. Like yeah, yeah, because the game was within, and then it's like, okay, we have these talents. Let's see what we can do with this now. Coaching. Let's see what you can do. Let's see what the guys that you actually got us, Joe Shane. So Brian Dayball and Joe Shane, and Bowen and whoever else on the coaching staff, man, and Brasillo. As far as the offensive line, because last year is playing in parts it was good, so it's like, okay, get your guys, and now with coaching, let's see what's so the offensive line will come together in its ways. We didn't have Andrew Thomas out there today, so that was of course automatically going to be something not so great for us coming out in week 1. Week 2, he should be hopefully out there because it was like, yo, we get to these games, yeah, we make it through camp, and then we get to right before the game, and it's like, well, ah, but yeah, that's whatever happens on the training staff and all that stuff, and that's guys get hurt. So yeah, man, that's about it. Like I said, this one doesn't really feel like much to me to talk about as far as the game and the loss or whatever. It's like as far as that. And as far as what happened in the field, I think we understand that Russ is not the real answer for us right now. So yeah, he could play like he's playing. We're not really looking at him to make all 17 games, not only because we want to see Dart, but because, I mean, if we're losing like that, this is week 1, it's an L, or whatever, that doesn't mean they're going to lose every other game. But if the coaching staff is faced with that kind of thing, we're not gonna watch them go 0 and 14, 0 and 15 before they try to trot out Dart. That's not see that happen. So if it was that, so that's why in my preview by the bye week, I had a set whatever I had to say. Make sure you check it out. Um, and yeah, from there, but we'll see. That's the best I can say. I'm sure other people have other opinions about it, and some people might be worked up. That's the thing. I'm not, because it's different. I'm not so worked up about it, and I understand if you might some fandom that might be, worked up about it. And welcome here, welcome back. I welcome you here. If you have some blues about it, this is as blue as it gets, and I be as blue as it gets after these games sometimes. So I do just like you. Today I'm not as blue because I already felt like this was lost because our team just not as good as that. But I think our team is better than what we showed today, at least as far as the available talent and what we should be seeing out of the talent. If we're thinking this front office and coaching staff is really, something to really take into next season. All right, just because we got rid of quarterback doesn't mean it's all solved. And maybe we, I want to speak like, oh, we should have got rid of everything then, and then everything be different now. Now, it was hard to get through that. It was bad enough trying to get the first part done. So, at least now there's none of that. And that's for the best thing, right? I said it to be different, to be more entertaining. Was I entertained today? It was kind of nice to see some of the stuff out of the defense. The secondary is just whatever gonna be out there. Russ wasn't playing his best today, so and the line wasn't playing his best today. Whoever the team on the offense side of the ball, period, wasn't playing the best today. Neighbors had some decent catches. I would say at least one or two drops, you're right. And then, but the ball was coming up short and stuff like that. This wasn't a good day by the QB. Um, and then you know, the tight end position, Theo Johnson. Again, I look at him, but even the tight end position, I'm not really looking at like second in our offensive production. It's really the wide receivers, the QB play, the wide receivers, and then tandem there, and then like the run game really coming in before I'm looking at tight end. Too many of the skill position players to be breaking out like that because I feel like the team's still not, it's Russ. So we're kind of going to what we're gonna go on with Russ. Yeah, that's about it, man. Yeah, if you're taking this loss kind of tough, man, I feel for y'all. I understand though. Um, you know, yeah, probably not many wrong things you could say right now, except for trying to make a bunch of excuses for quarterback, basically, because this is not a Kool-Aid channel. And yeah, we've been past that. I hope. Well, I know where I've been on it, but as far as people that might come around here, I feel like people have been kind of past that as far as that. And now we're trying to see what's really happening with this team and what's the other parts of it as far as players on up, right, is doing and what's really going on up there. So yeah, man, some might feel the scouting and the stuff and the talent evaluators up there who might have ties and stuff. Yeah, yeah, we know about this for a while. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we understand that. Understand that. So that's why it was so much th- that happened over these seasons that really questioned what the fuck, you know. And then when I'm just talking about quarterback, many things that goes along with him, man, especially with the coaching, with the coaching hires. All right, yeah, yeah. So let's go into next week here, man. And I got it as a win, but we'll see, man. We'll see.